Yo, welcome to another video. Gonna keep it nice, short, and simple. If you're horny to buy businesses for zero, maybe you've got no money, maybe you've got some money and you don't want to put it down into an acquisition and risk your own personal capital, then steal this offer structure for zero down acquisitions. This is the same offer structure that I used to buy my first ever company. Alright, let's get into it. So, let's say you are looking for businesses, right? You're finding businesses. You're not using brokers because brokers are going to be a cock block to this structure. You want to source deals off market, aka you're making the fucking cold calls, right? Making the cold calls. Let's change color in this. Let's make it nicer. Green, money green. Yeah, money green. I like that. Calls, emails, LinkedIn DMs, whatever. Get in front of the owner directly. That way you have ultimate leverage in terms of negotiation. Okay, so let's say you find businesses. Let's say you find 5 motherfuckers. 5 motivated sellers. Okay. And then boom, you have, you have 5 sellers who want to talk to you. And then one of them, one little unicorn who is motivated to sell, highly motivated. Maybe they want to retire, maybe they've got cancer, they've got something and they want to get the fuck out of the business. Maybe they're still fine to work in the business, but they just don't want to deal with the hiring, they don't want to deal with the legal regulations, they don't want to deal with the bullshit. Okay? You find this business, and let's say they are doing, let's call it 5 mil rev and 1 mil in profit. So I'm not going to get into the specifics of EBITDA, free cash flow, whatever. We can do that in another video. But let's just focus on this. Let's just assume that they've got $1 million free cash flow, profit, money that we can use to do whatever the fuck we want with. Okay, so they're 5 million revenue company, $1 million in free cash flow. Great margins, by the way. If you find a business like this, excellent. I'd snatch it up. All means necessary. Okay. So what are we going to do here? And how are we going to determine this? I'm going to take you through step by step. Fuck it. I was just going to go through the offer structure, but fuck it. With the seller, I would ask for 3 years profit and loss, and balance sheets, tax returns, corresponding tax returns, and also revenue breakdown. So in the clinical world, I'm in healthcare, I would be asking for their billings by practitioner, right? Maybe in construction, you go by project, like billings by project, by invoice, whatever it may be. You want to see a breakdown of their money for the financial years. Right, so FY 25, 24, 23, and you want to see year by year a breakdown of P&L, the balance sheet, their tax returns. If people send you their tax returns, they're on top of their shit, and it's an easy way to verify their income because people usually don't like to lie on their tax returns, especially if they're honest businessmen or businesswomen. And their revenue breakdown, so you can see how they make their money, how that money is made up. Okay, so now you've reviewed these, and you can deduce that there's $1 million free cash flow on average. Okay, what are you going to do here? How are you going to structure the deal? How are you going to make that offer? First couple of principles. If we're doing no money down deals, the easiest way is to do something called vendor finance. 100% vendor finance. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's impossible. Why would people accept that? It can't be done. But I did it. I've got guys that are doing it, that have done it as well. So I know it's all very possible. You just need to position yourself, right? Position and present. You need to position and present the deal properly, right? You can't just be like, oh, I'll give you vendor finance. In fact, even using that term, vendor finance, might turn off a lot of sellers. So what do I mean by this? Positioning, meaning you're credible, right? So this is why I emphasize, as same with the QLA model, right? Suits. Why wearing a suit is important. Looking the part, right? If I was going out to meet a seller, I wouldn't be wearing a fucking singlet unless, I don't know, maybe they're a female and maybe I'm putting the charm on and it's a nice summer's day and I'm saying, hey, you want to go hit the beach after? Maybe I'd be rocking the tank. But in any other scenario, I would be rocking suit, tie, three-piece. I'd do my hair, right? And I'm looking the part. I'm looking like a sexy motherfucker, handsome businessman. I know my shit. I know what I'm doing. That's what I'd be wearing. Plus, my board or my team, right? This is going to be in the executive summary that I send to sellers about me and my company and my people, right? So when people look at me, they're like, fuck, this guy's in a suit and everything. He looks good. He looks sexy. He looks fine. And then they're going to see my executive summary. They're going to be like, holy shit. He's got a good board. He's got good fucking solid people behind him. Like, he's got this guy, that girl. Oh, I know this guy. Like, he used to mentor me. Oh, I know this guy. Like, I did a case study on him in university, right? This is the kind of people you need on your board. And when you have the credibility, people are going to instantly rank you higher than some average Joe. They're going to be like, this person is trustworthy. And now when you present, when you're putting the deal to them, there's going to be some benefits to a vendor finance deal. One of them is going to be tax, right? In many jurisdictions, many places, the tax component, rather than getting a lump sum, right? So let's say you're paying them $5 million. If they were to get that up front, they're going to get taxed heavy on that shit, right? Unless their accountants are good and they've already set up, structured their company appropriately. But typically, when someone makes $5 million in one lump sum, it's going to be taxed heavily, whether you're personal, company, trust, whatever. So that's one benefit to vendor finance, because rather than a lump sum payment, they're going to get paid over time and intervals, right? So it's going to be, 500k a pop per year or whatever, 500k or whatever amount it is. It's going to be that amount over time, get paid in intervals as opposed to just one lump sum. So it could be very tax beneficial. Another thing you ask as well is, what you doing? What you doing, bruv? What are you going to do with the money anyway? If I give you $5 million, what the fuck are you going to do with it? It's just going to sit in your bank account? Do you have any investments that you're going to make? Like, or wouldn't you rather, or are you just going to blow it, right? Are you just going to make $5 million and blow it? Wouldn't you rather a safe way to get your income, right? Like, trust me, you're going to get higher than market value. Okay, so that's another thing. Market value. So let's say the business is worth 3 million on the market, but then with a vendor finance deal, maybe we'll pay them 5 mil. So it's an incentive for them to accept, because they're going to get more money overall. And this is really a question of price or terms. You want to pick your price? I'm going to choose the terms on how you get it. So if you want money up front, if you want fucking 3 million if you want money up front, so if you're dictating the terms, I'm going to choose the price that you're going to get that at. If you want the price, if you want $10 million for a $3 million business, I'm going to dictate the terms and how you're going to get that, right? So pick price or terms. So what you're doing, go back to what you're doing, right? So you have that conversation with the seller. Well, what are you going to do with the money anyway, right? Like, wouldn't you rather get higher than market value? Wouldn't you rather get an interest rate on your money? I'll pay you an interest rate on the money that I have to pay you, right? So maybe even then, we'd settle on 5 mil. Maybe you're going to get an extra fucking million in interest over whatever time period that we agree to. And then time. This is probably one of the biggest factors. Time. So remember, this person is motivated to sell. Right, we go back to where was it? We go back to this special little unicorn. Special little unicorn that is desperate to sell. He's fucking dying. He needs money. He needs to get the fuck out of the business. He wants to cash out as much as he can, as quick as he can. Time. With a vendor finance deal, you could do this in 1 day. You could wrap this up in 1 to 2 weeks. Alright? You could wrap this up in 1 to 2 weeks. You know, do your due diligence. Make sure the business is sound before you even take it on. 1 to 2 weeks. Wrap it all up. If you're going to use the bank's money, commercial debt, this shit can take anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks. Especially with banking in its current state, right? Most bankers in this fucking world are retarded. And I don't know across the world, but I know in Australia, all the top bankers have left the banks because of how much fucking red tape and bureaucracy there is in the banks. And how slow they are to work and how rigid they are with their lending policies. So what that means now is there are a lot of fucking new motherfuckers. New bankers who don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're junior as hell. They don't know how to have these conversations around financing, debt service coverage, ICRs. They only know how to read a script and match loan and deals to a particular box. They have this little criteria. They're like, oh, this matches this matches that, this matches that, this matches that. Okay, good, I can give you a loan. But chances are, if we're presenting an acquisition deal using creative financing, they're gonna look at the deal, match it to their criteria, and be like, doesn't match this, doesn't match that, matches this, but it doesn't match this and that. Oh, I can't do the deal, sorry, sir. And then you're gonna be, but you're gonna give them all the reasons, and they're still gonna be, oh, I don't know. And they're gonna have a mental breakdown. They're gonna say, yeah, you're being rude to me. See you later. That's what's gonna happen. I guarantee it. So, anyway, back to this. Time. If you want to close a deal as fast as possible, right? Remember, the easiest way and the fastest way to close a deal is 100% vendor finance. And the real fucking differentiator is this unicorn, this motivated seller. They need to be motivated to sell their business, right? And just because people, there's this thing called burden of ownership. If you've never owned a business before, you don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about. But if you are a traditional business owner and you've run it for 20 years, you know there is a burden of ownership, whether you work in the business or not, right? You're the one that people rely on. You're the one at the top of the hierarchy, the pyramid. Everyone fucking calls you. Everyone relies on you. The business relies on you. You're the director. There's a burden of ownership. And sometimes people just get sick of it. Sometimes people just want to get the fuck out as soon as possible. Okay. I think I've beat that nail enough. How do we actually structure this 100% vendor finance deal? I've already told you why it's good, what you need done, how you can pitch it and present it to the seller. How are we going to fucking structure it? Okay. So we've got $1 million in free cash flow. First thing, where's my calculator? First thing that we're going to do is we go 1 million divided by 1.5. 1 million divided by 1.5. That gives us about, let's just call it 666k. Right, realistically, it's 666,666. Anyway, let's call it 666k. We scrap this part. 666k. What are we going to do here? What does this mean? So the reason why I divided by 1.5 is because a DSCR of 1.5 or more is generally a safe spot. I wouldn't go less than 1.5, especially if I've never been in business. In this business, especially if I have no team, which I say, build a team, build a board of directors. And it's just a good comfort spot to be in. What does DSCR mean? You could blow 666k on whatever the fuck you want, and you still have how much left? What, 300 and something left, right? in the business. So from this $1 million in free cash flow, in profit, you could spend this much and still have over 300k left in the business, right? So this is a safe spot. This is your little safety net. That's what the debt service coverage ratio means. Divided by 1.5. So I get this number. So I can go up to this number and still have a reasonable amount of money left over to spend on myself, on the business, on equipment, on whatever. Free money in the business. Now what I'm going to do from here, once I have this number, I can go 10 years. And that's going to give me a 6.66 million purchase price. So I'm basically just going $666,000 is how much money that I can pay the seller per year, right? If they're making $1 million in free cash flow per year, out of that $1 million, I'm prepared to pay $666,000 over 10 years, 6.66 million. You could even go like, oh, well, if you don't want to go 10 years, we can do 5 years, right? And that's going to be 3.33 mil, right? I think that's right. So we can go 3.33 mil, right? We can go market rate, and you get paid $666,000 per year. Are you happy with that? Yes, Josh. I think I'm happy with that. Boom, you close them on that. Now, what are some key things to consider from here? By the way, that's the deal structure. That's how easy it is. You find the free cash flow, divided by 1.5, you get the number that you can pay per year, and then you just multiply it by however many years the seller is willing to go. So if the seller wants fucking more, you just go more. I've got one of my friends is doing a pension plan, a real life fucking pension plan. He's going 99 years or death. I like this deal. 99 years, basically perpetuity, or until you die. I will keep paying you from this business for 99 years or until you die. And hey, if you're dealing with someone that's already fucking 70 years old, who's coughing up blood, or who's fucking, got prostate cancer, got throat cancer, chances are you're a bit closer to this timeline. Are you taking advantage of them? Yes. Are you giving them a fair deal? Yes. Don't get emotional about this shit. It's just business. And you're trying to get rich, and you're trying to give people a fair deal. And this is a fair fucking deal. Okay. What are some key things to consider from here? Once you've got this down, once you've got the numbers agreed to, what are some key things to consider? The buyback. The bareback. The buyback. What are you going to do if you can't make these repayments? The worst case scenario is they buy the business back, and you want to give it to them for $1. So this is no risk to you. This is no risk to the seller. Alright? That's the assumption with this buyback model. So you agree on this deal, and then year 3, you're like, I can't make the repayments. They can exercise an option to buy the business back for $1. Like, there's some other clauses and shit that you can include that are included in this, like staff and what do I actually get for $1 back and blah blah blah. But in the most simplest way, without going into the details, they buy the business back for $1. So there's no risk to you because you buy this company with no money down, and there's no risk to them because if they don't get their money back, they just buy the business back. The other thing is, how do you truly make this a no money down deal? There are some other things. Working capital, lease, what else? I think that's it. That's it for now. Working capital and lease. So working capital is money that you need in the biz, right? So money that you need in the biz at all times to keep shit going, to pay the rent, to pay staff, to do whatever the fuck. Now, two ways you can get the working capital is the seller. The seller can retain the money in the business, or you go to the bank and you get about 10 to 15%. 10 to 15% of revenue as a working capital loan. Initially I would opt for a term loan, about 10% of revenue. Let's go 5 years at whatever interest rate it is now, typically 8 to 12%. That will give you money day one, right? Like, you set all this up when you're doing the deal, when you're signing the contract, and boom, you talk to your bankers and you're like, yo, I just need a working capital. If you can fit it within these terms, great, sexy, please, I need that money on day one of settlement, right? So day one operations of the business, boom, the bank is sending you money, working capital loan, so you can cover the shit that you need to pay for. Or the seller just retains that in the business for you, right? The seller just transfers you the money from their bank account. Or if you're doing a share sale, then you assume the bank accounts, you assume the cash in the business, and you use that for working capital. So that's, if you're worried about, how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to pay this? How am I going to pay that? This is how. Working capital. Get it from the banks or get it from the seller. In my case, I got it from the banks. The next thing is the lease. Oftentimes with traditional businesses, in my case, I was very lucky or fortunate, or I did enough volume. I put in enough reps to find my unicorn. And that is actually the bulk of the work, finding the unicorns who are motivated to sell, but also satisfy this part. And what I mean here is the seller is also the landlord, right? So if you're operating out of a site, if you're operating out of a premises, you're paying rent, right? You're paying rent on a building. The ideal scenario is for the landlord, for the seller to also be the landlord. So they own the building as well. And remember, we're not buying the building. If we're buying the building, it's going to skew the numbers. We're not going to meet fucking debt service with the business cash flow. So we're going to say to the seller, hey, you can... So this is another incentive to the vendor finance. Like, we'll buy the business and we'll keep paying you rent from the business. All right? And this is the reason why I'm raising this up, is because when you're entering a tenancy agreement, there's going to be the bond. There's also going to be the rent. So the bond is typically 1 to 3 months of the rental payments, right? So where are you going to get that money? Where are you going to get that money? You can either roll it from the previous tenant, right? So if the seller wasn't the landlord and there was someone else, the previous tenant would have this bond with the landlord. I would negotiate for this bond to be transferred over to you. But if the seller is the landlord, then we can just negotiate. Hey, you and I, bro, like, we're good friends. We're good friends now. We struck a deal. I'm reliable. I'm trustworthy. I'm not going to be changing anything in your business. How about we just forego this? We just forego this bond. We don't need the bond, mate. You and I, we're good friends. We don't need that. We forego it. So that's how you get rid of this. The rental payments. Most rent is paid in advance. You look at most lease agreements, they want their money up front. They want their money you pay for the next month now. I would negotiate, and I did negotiate, for arrears. Payment in arrears. So we occupy and use the premises for this month, and we pay you at the end of the month, rather than upfront. So that's these two things, working capital and your tenancy. This is how you truly get a no money down deal. You buy the business with vendor finance using the deal structure I just mentioned. Working capital you get from seller or banks. Lease, you get it from the existing tenant, or the landlord, you just fucking negotiate. You just say, just because of how brilliant and smart and handsome or beautiful, how big your tits are, whatever the case may be, you use what you have to negotiate with the landlord and say, this is what I want. You can do all these three things. You can get away with 0 down for the acquisition, right? You follow everything I just fucking said. Vendor finance, working capital, tenancy. You do all these things. You can buy a company with 0 down and put money in your pocket day one. Day one, we're putting money in the bank. So, if this is the kind of shit that you like and this is the shit that you want to start executing on, join the Owners Academy. Owners Academy, I share much more detailed stuff. You have direct access to me. So let's say you're executing this exact model that I just fucking presented. You can message me. You can message me and I will guide you through whatever the fucking problem you have. How to negotiate. What are the specific things that you need to say to the sellers, to your accountants, to your lawyers. Oh, that's another thing. Lawyers. You need to prepare a sale contract, right? And I would always suggest, rather than getting the seller to prepare the sale contract, you prepare the sale contract. How do you pay the lawyers? From this. Money in the biz. Or you just negotiate for fucking delayed invoice. So rather than that typical invoice at 30 days, you just push it out to 90 days and you use the cash flow from the business that you acquired for 0 to pay for the lawyers. Right? So if you can't get the working capital to pay the lawyers, then you just say, hey, give me a little bit more time, and then boom, cash flow from the business, pay the lawyers. $0 down, easy fucking peasy. It's all in. Where was it? This one. Position and presentation. You need to be big balls, big tits, yes, confident in your ability to perform. This is not about logic. It's not about how logical, why this, why that. It's about your positioning and presentation and your will to fucking build and create from nothing, right? And there's a rule of thumb. If you can't make money from nothing, then you can't make money with money. Like a 99% chance, that is the truth. That if you can't make money with nothing, you can't make money with money. So this is for the bright motherfuckers. This is for you if you are confident, if you know what the fuck you're doing, if you know what you're saying, or if you can just listen. You can just listen to what you need to do and just do it, right? And if you're not afraid to fail, you're not afraid to put in the numbers, this is for you. This is how you can acquire companies with no money down. This is how you acquire companies the smartest way possible. This is how the billionaires do it. This is how the wealthiest motherfuckers in the world do it. They already have money. Why do they do this? Because it's fucking ego. Because they can. And one rule to the law of attraction, right? You gotta live as if. You've gotta believe as if you're already a billionaire. You start doing this shit, right? Oh, I don't have money. I'm not smart enough to do this, bruv. You're never gonna make it if you keep thinking like that. You look at all the most successful people in the world, they always had belief in themselves. Anyway, I can rant on that all fucking day. If you want to learn this shit in more detail, structured, guided course material, and you want access to me, 24/7 fucking access to me and my people and the community of people doing this shit, join the Owners Academy. It'll change your fucking life. The link should be in the bio. Anyway, I hope you learned a lot from this video. Hope you go out there and start raping the markets. Hope you got a lot of value. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me. I'll see you on the next one, eh?